Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Mrs. Poe by Lynn Cullen. Set in 1840s New York, we follow Frances Osgood, who is struggling to sell her poetry, while also having to deal with her husband, who is fooling around with other women. Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven has just been published to literary acclaim, and Frances is looking forward to meeting her literary idol. What follows is a passionate love affair between Frances and Poe, but coming between them is Poe's very young, very ill wife. Mrs. Poe is very jealous of their relationship, and she might possibly be plotting the demise of Frances. Let's get this out of the way first of all. Mrs. Poe is like a straight up Edgar Allan Poe fan fiction, and I loved it. And I'll explain that further as I get deeper into this review. So yeah, let's just get going. I am a huge fan of Edgar Allan Poe. I love his poetry. I love his short stories. The thing is though, I'm still really unfamiliar with a lot of Poe's personal life. One of those things being the fact that he might have had some sort of relationship with Frances Osgood. When I initially started this book, I thought Frances Osgood was actually a fictional character, and then after I read the first couple chapters, I did some research and I found out that Frances Osgood was actually a real historical figure, and she wrote her own poetry, and she in fact did have dealings with Poe where they would pass back and forth to one another their poetry for each other to read. So yeah, in terms of historical context, I believe that is all that is known that happened between Frances Osgood and Edgar Allan Poe, the poetry exchange. I think people have always kind of wondered if there was more going on between the two, and that's where this book comes into play. What you need to keep in mind about this book is that it is historical fiction. It is not historical nonfiction. If you are a Poe scholar, you're probably going to nitpick this book to death. You're probably not going to like it. You're probably not going to like the bold statements that Lynn Cullen makes in this book. You're probably not going to like the research that she has done. I think the way you have to approach this book, you just have to think of it as speculative historical fiction. I think that's just the best way to do it. Don't take it too seriously. And that's kind of why I said at the start of this review that the book is kind of like Edgar Allan Poe fan fiction, just taking this small element of Poe's life and making a relationship between him and Frances Osgood, which probably never existed. So depending on where you lie in terms of your knowledge about Poe, you're either going to love this book or you're going to hate this book. What I enjoyed in particular about this book was the fact that it's very much a feminist novel. The book takes place during kind of the height of the literary scene during the mid-1800s, and there's lots of literary figures that make cameos in this book. Plus, you have Frances Osgood. She, at the time, was very popular for some of her children's poetry, but she kind of wants to branch out and make a name for herself outside of children's poetry. So over the course of this novel, because Frances has wrote children's poetry, a lot of people don't entirely take her seriously. She's often very critiqued, especially by the literary men So this novel is definitely very much a representation of the time period and the struggles that women had to endure, more specifically female writers. And then add on top of that, Frances's husband is running around just openly cheating on her, and everyone knows that he's cheating on her. And Frances is condemned in the book as well, because since she is a woman, she's not allowed to have affairs, even though her husband is running around openly having affairs. So I really love the characterization of Frances Osgood in this book. You could sympathize with her. You can really just feel for her. And you can often just really sympathize with her struggle as she's trying to write and get things published, plus having to deal with Edgar Allan Poe and his wife. So let's talk about the characterization of Edgar Allan Poe himself, you guys. As I've said repeatedly in this video, it is straight up Edgar Allan Poe fan fiction. Edgar Allan Poe, I have never thought of him as a hot guy or an attractive guy. There's just nothing about him that appeals to me. You know, looking at his old photographs, he just kind of looks like a creepy weirdo sometimes in his photos. Lynn Cullen, this is what Lynn Cullen does in this book, you guys. She makes Edgar Allan Poe hot. She makes him so good looking. And even in the back of the book, there's like an interview with Lynn Cullen, and she even says that during this time period, Edgar Allan Poe was thought of as catnip to the ladies. What Lynn Cullen basically does with Poe's character in this novel, not only does she make him attractive, but she makes him a Byronic figure, meaning she makes him tormented by his past. She makes him very dark. She makes him very brooding and mysterious. So yeah, he's totally a traditional Byronic hero. If you like that sort of thing, you might really like this book. And I'm not gonna lie, Lynn Cullen did her job, because I was in love with Edgar Allan Poe too, and I just imagined him as this super good looking guy. All of those unattractive old black and white photos of him, they were totally wiped from existence. But yeah, besides his overall looks, I did love Edgar Allan Poe in this book. He was just so utterly fascinating, and he has such a captivating past. I mean, if you already know about Edgar Allan Poe's past, and yeah, his marriage to his wife, who is his cousin. I mean, yeah, he just has so many interesting things going on, and his relationship with Frances was definitely steamy, and there was a lot of chemistry there. So let's move on to the title of this book, which is Mrs. Poe, referring to Edgar Allan Poe's wife, Virginia Poe. Virginia is actually one of Poe's cousins that he has married. She's extremely young, and she's very sick. And just very interesting that Lynn Cullen called this book Mrs. Poe, considering that our protagonist is Frances Osgood. I think there's a lot of deep meaning there about why the title is the way that it is, and I think you have to kind of read the book in order to kind of understand the title. Virginia Poe is in this novel as much as Frances Osgood is. They share pretty much about the same equal page time. In this book, Virginia is represented as being very childish and naive and not very bright. And we get the idea very early on that she's very lonely, and that's half of the reason why she wants to befriend Frances Osgood at the start of the novel. And I did feel really bad for Virginia. I liked her as a character, and I mean, you could sympathize with Frances, but you could also sympathize with Virginia, because Virginia is being cheated on too. But that's part of the thing with the Poe and Frances relationship. Like I said, she's not very bright, and she's very young and naive, but Frances is more the same age as Poe. She's more of his intellectual equal. So yeah, you absolutely have a love triangle in this book, and just a really great love triangle, I think. Not annoying or irritating like some love triangles can be. And that love triangle is what prompted some of the most dramatic and intense scenes in this whole book. So yeah, overall, I just immensely enjoyed this novel. So good. Like I said, don't take it too seriously. Treat it like speculative historical fiction. Just have a good time with it. Kind of ponder the what ifs. There's probably a lot of things historically inaccurate about this book, but I found myself not really caring. If you're someone who is really picky about historical accuracy, yeah, this book may be irritating to you, but if you're someone who just, it doesn't really bother you to any sort of extreme, I think you will highly enjoy this book. So yeah, highly recommended for historical fiction lovers and Edgar Allan Poe fans. So have you guys read Mrs. Poe? What did you think about it? And do you intend on reading it? If you have not done so already, just let me know your thoughts down below. So that's it for this book review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you liked this book review, you may like these other book reviews. Bye guys.